My name is Paul Clemens. I'm with Deloitte Consulting, based here in San Francisco. I was saying that they're very convenient, just down the road. And I'm thrilled to be here to moderate this panel of next generation companies that are sort of cloud, but I think one of the key points will be that it's not about the cloud per se. The cloud enables a lot of different things, and we're going to hear that from our panelists. So it's sort of the American Idol of next generation. So be sure to get ready to vote. It's going to be really, really cool and interesting. First, a little bit about who I am and why I would be interesting to be here, because Deloitte is not new, and some would say Deloitte may not be innovative. However, we're a massive company, and we are constantly pushing towards new businesses. We're like 200,000 people now. I was talking to Mark, and we've been around forever and ever, and we have all kinds of things going on. It's a very entrepreneurial business. Certainly traditional things like accounting and whatnot, but we have a huge technology business, and as a part of that, I have the opportunity to lead what we call emerging technologies. So this is a business within Deloitte that identifies new opportunities, new technologies that we can build businesses around to take to our clients. So things like Salesforce.com 7 years ago, people said, well, it's the cloud, Salesforce, that's ridiculous, but we started this business. Now, we do several $100 million a year in consulting, helping big companies and small companies put in Salesforce.com. So we have a few examples of companies like, 7 years ago, Salesforce, and so that's why I'm here. The concept of cloud, just a key point here is that our view is that it enables new capabilities that will disrupt the current world and change the way we do, say, ERP in one example, but also will enable capabilities that we've just never seen before. You think about social and how we interact and how consumers and how businesses operate now using social. It's very different. This is a totally new paradigm, a new way of interacting. All of our teenagers, are pushing the envelope, and business is adopting social. So the cloud by itself, again, it's infrastructure, it's capabilities, but it's enabling, social, mobile, analytics, new ways to run businesses and to make money and to interact in the world, and also introduces a lot of risk with data and privacy and these sorts of things. So we see some of that on the panel as well. So that's enough about me, and I'm going to turn it over to each of the panelists, and they'll give you 3 or 5 minutes on their company and why they are the most innovative, most deserving of the Next Generation Award. And then after they're finished, we'll do some questions. I'll ask some challenging questions. It's a few zingers, so just be ready for that. But then we'll open it up to you all to ask some questions as well. So I'm going to turn over to Suresh first, so take it away.
Great. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everyone. I'm Suresh, CEO of Armor 5. We are what I would say, a born in the cloud company. So we wouldn't have existed if cloud computing hadn't gotten to the point where it did about 18 months back. And we are here to solve some of the most pressing challenges that some of the panelists talked about earlier, something that all of you are very familiar with the whole explosion in mobility, mobile devices, and how the expectation of access for content that used to be locked in behind the scenes, behind firewalls and VPNs, how mobile workforce wants to have access to that on their device at any time, anywhere. And that's put an enormous burden and strain on IT, who are struggling to deal with things. On one hand, things moving to the cloud, and on another hand, things being accessed from mobile devices. But their security and compliance challenges haven't changed. We heard from some of the earlier panels as well. There are people either worry about it or people that don't even know that their data is exposed. And that's a huge concern. And the last graphic on this slide is how we find most of our customers. They usually have their fingers behind their back, and they're hoping that everything is fine with this cloud and mobile revolution that their workforce is pulling them towards. And this concept of blind trust is further epitomized by them, the CIOs who say, I just hope everything just hangs together, and I don't know. And Armor 5 walks into that triangle of forces, if you will. And we have come up with a very innovative solution. It's a radical solution to this age-old security problem. We are a 100% cloud solution. We enable secure access to enterprise content, applications, data, either in the boring old SharePoint or network drives or in the cloud on any mobile device without installing anything. We don't put anything on the client. We don't have an app. We don't put anything in the enterprise. We come in through existing secure connections that the enterprise already knows how to manage, which is VPN, and we're able to virtualize access to all the necessary content and applications and provide that in a browser. So it's secure, compliant access, any device, any application, internet or cloud services. When Eileen was talking about the BYOD challenge, that's a huge target area for us. We walk in to companies struggling with that problem, and we say we can solve that by not putting anything on those personal devices that you don't need to put anything on, but yet we can provide secure and compliant access to content and applications, and your workforce is productive, IT is happy. Let's see. When you look at the value proposition we bring to the table, from a CIO standpoint, it's assurance. It's instant security compliance. We're a cloud provisioned solutions, which means when they come to our site and they are able to self-provision themselves an Armor 5 account. That's done automatically in the cloud, and then they get a URL, and that's all they need. They don't need to have a user provisioning or device provisioning because we don't care about the device. We operate in the cloud. When IT is able to get comfort and visibility because they have a dashboard, they can see things in real time, they know who's accessing what, when, where, from where, and they can implement compliance policies, everything in the cloud again. And from an end user perspective, what could be more simple than opening a browser, putting a URL, and getting your work done, which is what most of us want to do as end users day in and day out. But yet, we're forced to make some tough decisions like installing security things. You never know when the company's going to wipe your personal iPad, lose your pictures. I've lost my own family pictures twice due to my prior company's BYOD policies. So, from an end user perspective, it's nirvana. They're like, look, company doesn't have to control my device, but I'm able to get my work done. So we have been able to bring this solution to market, I would say, through innovative use of HTML technology, cloud computing, and bring it to a price point where it's economically viable to run a company like this. And I would say we're glad that SIA gave us an opportunity to come out and talk to you guys today about what we bring to the table. And I think that is my last slide. We have, again, because we're cloud enabled, we are able to offer a free trial. You can go to the site, try it for yourself, nothing to install. So we walk the talk, not just talk the talk. And I'll stop there and hand it off to the next.
Awesome.
Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Morris, you're next.
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. My name is Morris Panner, and I'm the CEO of DICOM Grid. And what we do is we solve a very simple but vexing problem, if you have it, which is how to get your X-rays, MRI, or CT from one place to another. And that's typically a problem that is solved today by handing somebody a CD and having it move around. And believe it or not, that's how hospitals solve the problem too. So it slows things down if you're in a trauma case where you need to move imaging from one place to another, your medevac from a facility to a tier 1 facility, valuable time can be lost. It's actually a fairly hard problem to solve because it's big infrastructure. So some of these images are immense, and they're only getting bigger as people start using HD video and other things in a medical context. It's not easy to do this securely. One of the things about healthcare is you worry about privacy. You always worry about privacy, but healthcare, you worry about it a lot, and there's a lot of legal implications as well as just the personal implications. And finally, a lot of the incumbent equipment vendors and the incumbent system vendors are not super excited about this network world. If you want to think about healthcare today, and since this is a software crowd, this analogy will resonate, imagine if Novell were the largest software company in the world today. It's still a very LAN-based, inside the four walls kind of approach to information sharing. There's not really a concept of TCP/IP integration. So what's exciting about this is we help patients do a bunch of different things, and we help the hospitals set up the infrastructure to do it. So we turn browser-based devices into complex medical devices. We do it securely. We have workflow rules. We have security protocols. And we enable you to do all this in a way that is vendor agnostic. So you're not stuck on somebody's system. You're able to do what you need to do. And that's particularly helpful for big healthcare systems. So this is sort of an interesting use case. Memorial Hermann is one of our big customers, one of our early big customers. It's one of the 6 of the top 100 hospitals in the United States. So you'd think if anybody could lick this problem, they could. They do approximately 150,000 studies every month, and they have 30 imaging centers. And what we do is we connect them with a 20 hospital network. And the most compelling use case that really pushed them over the edge was a little girl had been hurt in an accident out in western Texas and was rushed to her local hospital. And they quickly realized that they couldn't help her, and they needed to medevac her to Memorial Hermann in Houston. And they were able to move that imaging, and it got there before she did, and they were able to prep, and because of that, the emergency room doctor believes that's what saved her legs and made her and her parents very happy. So one of the things that I think is fascinating about the new world that we're in is that we are seeing institutions redo infrastructure. And if you think of SaaS as one of the exciting parts of software because it lets people refresh infrastructure, whether that's CRM infrastructure and ERP infrastructure, this is taking and redoing the imaging infrastructure, which is a vital part of healthcare today. So I guess I should go back to end on DICOM Grid, but that's, this is the next company. My company is DICOM Grid.
Okay, there you go.
Thanks very much. All right, everybody, thank you very much.
All right, good job. Yeah. All right, Art, you're next.
How's everybody doing? My name is Hart Cunningham. I'm the CEO, co-founder, original investor, and chairman of a company called Integrate. We started in 2010. This is our 3rd full year. We have 150 employees, raised about 20 million in VC, and we are a workflow management tool in the media space. So I've been building internet companies for the last 15 years, and I've been involved in cloud computing for probably the last 8 or 9. So 7 years ago, I actually built a company that was the first Azure beta client. So it wasn't at the level where you could actually be able to move your entire enterprise over there now. And so Amazon's obviously making a ton of progress, and we're now completely on AWS. We moved to Redshift probably 6 months ago. And when you kind of think about our business, we work with 10,000 clients, 300,000 websites, over 100 million consumers on a monthly basis, according to ComScore. So you think about, we handle 100 million ad calls or 100 million different interactions between consumers, websites, clients within a minute basis. So computing in real time and be able to show analytics of that data in a highly secure environment is mandatory. I think from an entrepreneur standpoint, one of the reasons I was excited to speak here is a couple things. One is a lot of our business and a lot of our clients are actually in the B2B side. So we do a lot of cloud syndication documents. So we work with a lot of the different larger companies, Dell, HP, Microsoft, IBM, and actually promote their actual cloud sourcing or their products. I think also because our company is completely dependent upon it. Every company that I've started, I've actually put my own money forth and actually got it to an operating level. We're generating revenue before we went out and got VC funding. And without cloud computing nowadays, it would be impossible. There's no way we could have started Integrate or got to that level. We'd need to build in $10 to $20 million in server farms and be able to put a lot of those resources into techs that we now can put into code, operations, et cetera. So kind of gives you the high level on what we do. Thanks.
Awesome, great. Thanks. So shopping cart, Igor?
Yep. Is my mic working?
Yep, it's working. You're on.
Good afternoon. My name is Igor Sashkin. I'm CEO of Shopping Cart Elite. We offer a solution to our clients who want to sell products online. And Shopping Cart Elite combines marketing, SEO, and operations all in one software. I want to introduce a new app that we developed. It's called T. It stands for Threat and Engagement Analytics. T is basically Google Analytics on steroids. So it can cut your online advertising budget in half, and it can quadruple your sales in less than 30 days. So if anyone used Google Analytics, they have a metric called a bounce rate. which is usually pretty high, 50%. And bounce rate is when a visitor enters your website and leaves within 2 seconds. So we started C because we wanted to bring the bounce rate to 0%. So here's how it works. It starts with a dashboard, and campaigns, keywords, refers, and tagging is very similar to how Google Analytics works. So when somebody comes to your website, we'll know exactly where they're coming from, which keyword, and so those are what those features are. What T does differently is we measure threats. So depending on the visitor coming from whatever keyword, we'll know if they're a botnet or if they're someone doing click fraud or if they just don't belong on your website. And by eliminating that traffic, we're able to cut 20% of your online advertising budget. Then what we do is we measure engagement using the same technology. So with engagement, we're able to see what real humans are doing on your website. And so we measure engagement. We basically say if they're poor engagement, average, good, or excellent. And if we can get rid of the poor and average and even good and just leave the excellent, then we are able to cut your advertising budget by about 80%. So you'll end up with the same sales and just quality traffic. Then what we do is we have engagement trends. So we take all your excellent, high engaged traffic and we try to understand why did they not turn into a customer. And we group them together. So we group the behaviors into what we call trends. And some of the trends might be positive, such as there is a real customer who's just not ready to buy your product. And some might be negative trends, like they're window shoppers. They were never going to buy your product. So then what we do is we do a trend analysis. We take each trend at a time, and we're able to see each visitor down to the page view level of exactly what they did on that page. So it looks something like this. We can see exactly where they clicked, where they moved their mouse. If you see there's a thicker line somewhere, this is basically they were idling at a certain point. So we're able to see exactly where they engaged. And this is how we put together the trends. The other thing that T does is we do remarketing. So there's a big problem with remarketing. If somebody doesn't know what remarketing is, if you ever went to a website and you love the website, next thing you know, ads are popping up of that website all over the place, same one over and over again, you've been remarketed to. And the problem with remarketing is as more people get involved, it gets more expensive, and the remarketing agencies want you to tag everybody, which obviously causes a problem because now you're tagging botnets and people who were never supposed to be tagged in the first place because they have poor engagement. So what we do is we can take the positive trends, the people that truly were going to buy something from you that are real humans, and only remarket to them. So we're only going to tag them. So you can imagine how much money you save. You might be retargeting 1,000 visitors per day, and now because we're only focusing on a positive engagement trend, you're only remarketing to 20. And the other thing that we do with that is you can laser focus on what ad those 20 will get. So maybe you have 10 that need to be remarketed for your brand, and the other 10 need to be remarketed because you need a better discount, and because the price was one of the trends that they didn't want to become a customer of yours. And finally, what we do is when you make a sale, and let's say the sale ended up because of traffic came from Google pay-per-click, how do you know that your other marketing channels weren't responsible, such as Facebook or Bing? So what we do is when a sale occurs, if you properly tagged all of your traffic using our platform, then we're able to tell you how the visitor interacted with your website. So if he came from Facebook first and then from Bing and finally converted at Google pay-per-click, we'll show you the index of how exactly they ended up your customer. So if you're doing any kind of paid marketing, you definitely need this tool. It's going to really change your game for online advertising. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, and last but not least, Mark.
Thank you.
Xtuple.
Yes.
open source ERP, right?
Yeah, so my name is Mark O'Brien. I'm the Vice President of Business Development for Xtuple. And whenever you go alphabetically on a list, I don't think I'm going to be speaking first. So, and I would say best for last, but this is a great group of companies here, and also want to thank the SIA for the Next Gen program. It's a terrific program, and appreciate being up here speaking to you. So Xtuple is innovative and on the Next Gen program here, as much because of our velocity of innovation in kind of an older industry, which is ERP. So we're comprehensive business management software. This part is not interesting, but we do everything from CRM to sales to accounting to inventory management. It's integrated in with manufacturing. We have a whole set of customers from U-Haul with 7 factories around the country. I think they manufacture like 15,000 trucks a year. So they run their business on Xtuple, and that itself, again, is not that compelling or interesting, except for us, because it's good business. But what really is interesting is our business model. And the business model is a commercial open source business model that, you know, it's becoming much more mainstream. People understand it. We have sister companies and other segments of the marketplace that are doing the same thing. This week alone, Xtuple is being used in 110 different countries, new users this week alone. And that's the kind of trend that we're seeing on a weekly basis. I mean, I track it pretty closely. 100 to 120 new countries have usage every week, and it's because of our commercial open source model. And it's just proliferating the software out there, and it's adding to our innovation. I think last week alone, a partner over in Pakistan sent us a module to make us tax compliant in Pakistan. And I sent an all points message to people that I wasn't heading over there to support this. But you know, it's the kind of innovation that we can get even in a mature industry by being commercial open source. We're also innovating with mobile web technology, so we're driving it to your mobile devices. It could be the Android, it could be the iPhone, it could be your tablet, it could be your computer, it could be, you know, through the browser, obviously. So it's, you know, it's something where we're really driving innovation into a core business market that you know, hasn't seen that before. As you can see there, we have free and commercial editions. So Postbook is the commercial, or is the open source version, and then the flagship product is Xtuple, and it's a commercially supported version. So, you know, I think that model is something you're going to see more and more out there, and there are benefits for the users as well. And it's not just total cost of ownership. Once again, it's the innovation velocity that we can bring with a worldwide community of developers. So, so that is the ERP technology. More advertising for T. So, and why does the open source community matter? Because, you know, we have 28 plus, I think it's actually more than that, language translations of the software. We have partners and consultants globally that are assisting us, and just the numbers, 50,000 registered users, 1 million downloads plus, blah, blah, blah. You know, it really does drive not just innovation, but everything from bug identification and fixing to the innovation. And there is a happy group of Xtuplers. I'm based out here in California. Xtuple's in Norfolk, Virginia, and X is, they're all standing there. So anyway, very pleased to be here, and I don't want to take up more time from the question and answer session, but once again, I hope you see much more of the commercial open source movement going forward. Thanks.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to ask a few sort of general questions, and we'll move it around a bit, and then I'll have a few pointed. So first question is just around customer behavior, and as I mentioned in my preamble, that, you know, the market is changing as cloud is enabling new capabilities, but it's also resulting in different behaviors in terms of customers and buying patterns, whether it's open source or SaaS. And I'm wondering what you guys are seeing in terms of how you're selling your products. What seems to be, you know, important in terms of like getting customers to buy your products, you know, and just how what questions they're asking and what are the criteria for selection. You know, in some cases it's price, but it isn't always price, right? A lot of stuff is free and whatnot. So maybe Mark, well, let's start with you. You and I had a good conversation about, you know, the freeware customers don't always convert and whatnot. So maybe talk about customer behavior.
Yeah, it's a great question, Paul, and really, particularly in the cloud, and the cloud users and evaluators are now preconditioned with almost ADD, so you have to deliver value very, very quickly. We try to map out a 5-minute user experience, a 30-minute user experience, and a full-day user experience. We do that internally, and we actually write down what our expectations are for the customers to be able to execute in a 5-minute window. And then we make sure that our process for onboarding them with productive usage maps to that. And in the development process, if a great new idea comes in, but it violates or breaks that 5-minute user experience that we have the expectations our customers can do, then it's off the chart, because it's so important to deliver value very quickly through the cloud to your customers, or they may look someplace else to get that value delivered quickly.
That's right. And Hart, your company, I think, is probably the biggest of all these, and in the advertising domain, you probably have a few good opinions on this, I would guess, yeah?
Yeah, so this is our third full year in business, and we have a chance of hitting $100 million in revenue. So we're at probably a $50 million run right now. So worst case, we'll do $75, $80 million in our third year of business. And I think the biggest thing on the cloud is a couple things. One is being able to process a tremendous amount of data very, very cheaply. And be able to offer that analytics to Fortune 500 companies on the fly. Because what you're really trying to do is you're trying to take a brand marketer or a CMO. You want to make him a freaking rock star. You want to make him so he can take a report in real time, walk into his boss's office and say, hey, listen, here's what's really happened with our customers. Here's the attribution. Here's the ROI, et cetera. And it makes it very, very simple. So I think being able to offer those analytics so cheaply and so effectively in real time is something the cloud's been able to do. And the other point I want to make is the integrations. When you're looking at a lot of these different companies like Marketo and Eloqua, and a lot of these companies are actually making progress, going public and so forth. I mean, all the integrations with everything from Salesforce, a lot of these companies is very easy now. And it wasn't that case 5-6 years ago. I mean, it was a freaking nightmare. And now, you get a couple average techs, you're making these integrations, you start actually watching the actual attribution flows, and it just makes life a lot easier to build a quality company.
Yeah, that's a great point. So Morris, maybe you could comment. You sell in a very regulated, very risk-averse industry, and so what is your perspective on customer behavior?
So our customers are in a period of massive transition. So our customers right now are probably facing more regulatory and business change, or as much as any industry that I can imagine. So they're also facing a lot of uncertainty. So one of the key pieces of what we offer them is the ability to bring technology to bear on a business problem. And that's not something that is easy to do in a traditional software environment. There's a massive sort of deployment piece. All the comments about flexibility and innovation completely resonate. So these people are really trying to see whether they can take technology and do for their industry what they perceive other industries have done with some of these technologies. So it's a time when some people are absolutely averse to it, but now for the first time you're starting to see early adopters in this sector as well.
Yeah. And I would guess that you bump up against Epic, this electronic medical records business and software. Is that, do you connect and integrate and work with them a lot?
We do with all the EMR vendors, and there are a lot of them. But one thing that's fascinating is that in some ways what you're seeing is over the last couple of years, there's a huge infusion of money into the government, spent a huge amount of money. And these traditional software vendors that look a lot like Siebel.
Yeah, they are not cloud.
They are not cloud.
And they're killing it, of course, but they're like the opposite of cloud.
In a weird way, it's sort of a mini lesson on what happens when government gets involved, because what happened was government turned around and said, you either take this money now or you will be penalized. So the companies, the hospitals, not being stupid, took the money. They looked around. There were no vendors who really existed who could provide the capability that they needed at the scale they wanted. So they went back to a model that they were very comfortable with. And I predict one of the next pieces of innovation is going to be figuring out how to get out of these siloed, large EMR systems.
Yeah, that industry, we have a huge a provider, we call it, but a hospital sector business, and we're seeing that same phenomenon. They have tons of money and they're spending it to innovate and to put technology in, but a lot of the technologies are somewhat antiquated, or at least in terms of the business model. So we have a long way to go there. So Suresh, in the security space, you're competing against a lot of big guys. Yep. So how do you differentiate? What's unique about your product, or what behaviors and customers are you seeing?
Right. actually, I wanted to sort of touch on what Hart and Mark said about the expectation of being able to get value in 5 minutes or less. And,
Yeah, that's a great comment.
And we were born in the cloud, and we were able to use the cloud to deliver that to a business like security. Because when you think about enterprise security, you normally think about 6 months, army of professional services, and every which way of code due diligence, and yet another server blade infrastructure to put in my DMZ and turn on ports and all that stuff, right? I mean, we wanted to sort of break all that. We said, look, enough of that. Let's make life dead simple for not only the end user, but the IT administrator as well. Right. And we really took that to heart. And similar to what Mark said, we constantly look at, are we going to have to install anything on a device? Well, if so, that's off the table. We don't want to do that. Yeah. Are we going to ask IT to install anything in their enterprise? If it is, we don't do it. We actually try to do everything in the cloud. So the IT experience is also come to our site, put your credentials in for your VPN server, and you're off and running. And I've got a large Wall Street firm, hopefully we'll go public with the name very soon, did just that. They came to our site, saw our marketing, signed on, and the guy had his entire intranet, file servers, et cetera, exposed on all mobile devices using Armor 5 in a secure way. And for them to be able to do that, and he was up and running. And he said, this is awesome. He said, I couldn't go to bed at night. I took my mobile phone and I would say, can I still access it from home? I'm like, yeah, it's there. It's on any device. So
that's great.
Cloud has allowed us to really bring this level of innovation where we're breaking some of the paradigms around enterprise security.
Yeah, it's very disruptive. Yeah, that's exciting. I love the name of your company, Armor 5. That's very visual, right? I might change it to like Armor 1000, but anyway, that's not what we're talking about.
5,000. Somebody said the number you put is going to be your stock price. So you might want to be 500 or 5,000.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And Igor, not to be outdone, your business is all about consumer behavior, customers. So talk about sort of the customer transformation here, what's happening in the marketplace from your perspective.
A lot of our customers are requesting sophisticated features. So they have features now, their existing businesses. For example, on the e-commerce side, they're having problems with shipping because they might have 20 items to ship in 5 boxes. How do you pack that without going to the warehouse and shoving random stuff in? Right. So at a new tool we started using called 3D bin packing. So it actually, you give what kind of boxes you have and what kind of items you have, and it's going to actually predict what should fit where and show you pictures of how you should fit it. So something that would take an hour to pack now takes 10 minutes. Or PCI compliance is another example. You're now required to be PCI compliant if you want to do credit card transactions on e-commerce. And a lot of clients, they say, we want to store credit cards, especially B2B clients. So we, just because you're PCI compliant does not mean that if you get breached, you're not taking liability. So what we developed is a data vault, which will encrypt the data, and then we store it on an external cloud server partner who's a PCI level 1 compliant. And so now we don't actually have to take the direct liability for storing the data vault to store the secure data. We can use their PCI level 1 compliance data center, put our software on there, and just have all the data encrypted on that end. So there's a lot of, like the PCI compliance example is, somebody is concerned they can't sleep at night because, they can get fined a lot if something happens. Even if their hosting partner supposedly is PCI compliant, once they get breached, they're automatically going along in the court.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, great point. Okay, next question, and then we've got like 5 minutes left, so get your questions ready. So the next question is for startups, which you guys are in different levels. The venture capital community is important. And I don't think all of you have taken venture capital, but the question would be, what is interesting to the VCs right now? And for those of you who've gotten money and or have pitched it, what are you seeing in the venture world in terms of what they're looking for, what they're not looking for, how things are changing? And you guys, who's taking VC money? Yeah, so Suresh, you go first.
Okay, I'll go. Sure.
You're closest to me.
I think that when we were out raising our funding, the things that really catch their attention is cloud and mobile. I I
Yeah.
think definitely, we
So the keywords.
it's
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of like, where is the opportunity? Where is that explosive growth?
Yeah.
Especially if you're going in at an early stage. They want to see, what market you're addressing. Is that a sufficiently large market opportunity? And then they look at, so the mobile sort of represents the big problem area, if you will, in terms of, lots of devices, lots of opportunity to monetize. Then they look at cloud as both, problem space as well as an economic driver. Because they know that if you're born in the cloud, you're using cloud to deliver your solution, you're able to drive unit economics down to a compelling value. So when they look at, certainly for us, if we were not a cloud-based company, I don't think, first of all, I don't think our business would have even made sense. We were not there. So the VCs are looking for sort of, what's that economic driver? How can they, be profitable even if they go out and capture a market opportunity? And so cloud and mobile are definitely the keywords that get you in the door. And then obviously, you sell the differentiation and then the
does the
team
product work?
and so on.
And then Morris.
For us, it's been an interesting effort because people are very interested in this sort of last frontier of being able to bring SaaS to a whole new industry, which is pretty exciting. And the question really revolves around speed of adoption. So unlike a lot of industries where it kind of goes without saying that everybody would prefer a cloud-based solution, how to fit that into healthcare is complex and requires the right sort of where you are on the adoption curve and where the business models in healthcare are going to shake out. So one of the big variables that you have that is very difficult for anyone to control is what will the healthcare business look like, and that sometimes I don't think that matters so much in VC funding. You're trying to do a new technology into a big area, but there's so much flux in our potential customer base right now that I think is something where they're putting their bets down, but realize there's some exogenous factors that are hard to control.
Yeah, we've done some research on this topic, and venture capital is moving back into software. Software is the biggest area of investment, but software is actually growing. Sort of sustainability and even like biotech is starting to decline. So money is maybe moving away from those, and it's going to like medical devices and software, and healthcare is still pretty strong.
Yep.
But that's a real good indicator of the market and what's hot and what's not. So any questions in the audience that would like to jump out? I've got a few more, but I can certainly entertain questions. Any questions? Going once, going twice. Okay, here's one right here, sir. Hold on, wait for the microphone.
So I'd like to ask Sarush on your solution. And you provide virtualization capability for the mobile device through the backend system. And are you assuming a constant connection and in order for your solution to work? And are you basically betting on that? And then probably the inconvenient, you may not have a constant connection against the security side of the risk. Can you comment on that?
Sure. I think the question was, based on how our solution works, are we relying on a constant connection to provide those capabilities? So when you kind of think about the proliferation of Wi-Fi and your ability to get on the network, if you will, I think the last stat I saw was the number of passenger miles flown with Wi-Fi was doubling every 6 months. So it's sort of like, it's almost, even in the remote corner in a village in India, you can get Wi-Fi. So that's just on the market of connectivity. Our solution is an online solution in the sense you are connected into our cloud, and the cloud is providing you the capabilities, the functionality, the security. But we do preserve the session in the cloud for a certain amount of time, depending on how the administrator set that up, so that if you're on a really bad 3G connection and you keep dropping the connection, you're not sort of re-logging in or re-authenticating. You are taken back into where you were left off. So at least for the period of time where the administrator is comfortable leaving the session on, you're sort of back in there, and the cloud preserves your work and exact place where you were. But if you're talking about, because the favorite line used to be, I'm getting on a plane to New York and I need everything on my laptop. And I think that is kind of changing. You get on a plane to New York and you fire up your Wi-Fi, right? So we're definitely leveraging that trend And so far, it hasn't been an issue. Nobody has said, I'm not buying you because you don't have a disconnected offline solution. They sort of see the benefit trade-off as being a very healthy one to make.
So good question. So we're officially out of time. I'm going to take one more minute and ask one final question for everybody. Just curious, what systems are you using to run your businesses? Are you guys cloud? So for example, are you using Salesforce or Extuple or what? So Morris, what do you use to run your business?
We never had I don't think we have a server in the company.
What systems do you use?
We use Salesforce for CRM.
Yeah.
We use, trying to think what we use for accounting.
Extuple.
We should, right.
Okay.
And, so we
And
use a whole
that
variety of
shows that it doesn't really matter, but right? It's as long as it works. Igor, what about you?
Well, we use our own shopping cart for
Yeah,
day-to-day.
of course, for e-commerce.
and,
Yeah.
but we also do Google Docs and QuickBooks.
So Google Docs, QuickBooks.
Online.
Yeah. So QuickBooks Online.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And of course,
Yeah,
Extuple,
completely
right?
from CRM to sales to
Yeah,
to
top to
accounting.
bottom, right?
It's completely.
So I
Extuple.
would think that you have some target customers sitting to your left and right, right?
Yeah.
And Hart, what do you guys
Mostly
use?
AWS, Amazon Redshift for a lot of the data and infrastructure, and then
Yeah.
locally we actually moved our Microsoft Desktop CRM to the cloud on Amazon, ironically.
Yeah. So Microsoft in the cloud. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
and we run on Rackspace in Texas and Amazon in Japan, and our business runs entirely on Salesforce and QuickBooks and others. And
So there you go.
I
All
didn't
cloud.
even look anywhere. So
Yeah, and so in 5 or 10 years, when you guys are billion-dollar companies, you're probably not going to be going back to SAP or something like that. But we'll see what happens, right? So we've gone 1 minute over. Thank you for your time. Remember to fill out your ballots, and then we're going to do this again tomorrow. But thanks to the panelists.